Welcome to an incomplete guide to personal growth. We invite you to take a breath and take a listen to our podcast that explores the wonder, humor, challenges, and sometimes those self-inflicted wounds on the journey of personal growth.
Our weekly podcast conversations include stories, resources, and tools that you can incorporate into your daily life. We're the mother-daughter duo of Sydney West
and Kelly Arundel. Hey, Sid.
Hey, Mom.
Look at us and our new little digs here.
Yes,
new digs. Different. We're all flexible.
Yes.
That's good.
You had an exciting night a few days ago.
I did. That was, I know we live, well, it's kind of like out in the country, although it's not. It's kind of urban, but there's a lot of woods around.
There is, yeah.
But anyway, the other night when I opened one of the drawers in the bathroom, huge. It was one of the biggest I've seen.
Really?
Scorpion.
Oh my
That was very alive and juicy. And I let things live, but not those. So I really took a while to squish it, but I got rid of it.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, Lauren says, "Mom, would you check? There's a
loud cicada noise.
Out. It's right outside my window. It's so loud the last 2 nights. I was ready to put my headphones on. I'm like, okay. So I looked like I was going to do anything about it. I looked, and it was inside her bedroom.
Yeah, inside the window. Yes.
Now, that one I did go get a towel and put it in a bucket, and I did take it outside so it lived, because I saw it on our other window later. But yeah, it's crazy. It's like, okay, I'm used to skunks and possums, but I like stuff outside my house.
That's scary.
That was nasty.
The scorpions, I don't think I'll ever get used to here.
No. And you're not going to get poisoned from them. They're not that kind, but they do sting.
They sting.
Like awful. They do, because I did get bit by one before.
Oh, gosh. No. Yeah. And then the cicadas are going to be so annoying this year, because there's like every, I don't know, some crazy amount of time, it's like the two types of cicadas are now like birthing at the same time.
And they have been loud. They have been.
Yeah, they have.
Loud.
But
they need to be outside the house.
Yes. And I don't know where the hole is, but how to get in there.
I know. I've wondered that. And that's like, do I want to know?
I know. And like scorpions, I can
just
see.
One, so,
scorpions are pretty sneaky. They can kind of get in anywhere.
I don't know how they get in. I don't know. But they drains and everything else. So.
Gross.
So hopefully we won't have any more for a while.
No, I hope not.
No.
Ugh, gross.
Ugh. Roach season comes up next. I hate
that. Yeah, that's true. It does. Yeah. Except for spray, I guess. Yeah. But that's about it. Ugh, gross.
Yeah, those really crunch when you get them.
Oh, God.
Sorry, but it's true.
This week we're talking about, whenever we did our previous community, talking about building a community episode with Stephanie and that interview and stuff, one of our listeners was like, oh, can we talk about community in the sense of how you impact it and how you can help, or how you like that type of community talking. Yeah. And so kind of talking a little bit about volunteering today and that sort of like aspect of community.
Okay.
Today.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. I think that was a great idea.
Yeah. So we can start off by listing like some of the benefits. I have a little list, and if you have more, then you can jump in. Sure. So the Mayo Clinic, looked on their website, and of course, I mean, I think it's kind of like you can have better physical and mental health because you're physically going and doing things, you're interacting with people. Right. The other thing it can help with is like gives you a sense of purpose. And then you can also use your skills. Like sometimes I feel like you're in a job, but it's maybe not using all of your skills. So you can volunteer in a way that, you feel like you're using your full capacity in your life. And then last one I kind of feel like is important is new relationships too. Like you have the chance to foster those.
Yeah. I had quite a bit the same.
Yeah.
One of the things about volunteering is it connecting you more to your community and to what is happening within your community or in the realm that you're volunteering in too, because it connects you to these people that you may have never met before in any other way.
In any way, yeah.
You wouldn't have encountered them any other way. And you then learn stories, you share your stories, for me, one of the benefits of connecting with some of the communities that I've worked with, not helped, worked with, was that I just realized how we are so much the same.
Yes, definitely.
One incident can turn your life tumbling.
Yeah.
And it could be anybody.
Yeah.
And it just connected because there's stories, and I've learned so much.
Yeah.
From them and about what, and it's helped me. And I think that's the other volunteering. We think we're giving, but boy, we receive.
You receive a lot, yeah.
And so that helps. You mentioned the physical, the mental. That that fosters that, I think, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
One of the things I saw talked about advancing your career. I guess, but I'm not real sure about that.
No.
The way I would see that is if you're learning new skills and going, oh, this is something I can utilize
that you can take into your
and take into account.
Yes. I agree. I think that's probably the way that I would see it.
And it can be fun. Who knows? You may be laughing more. You may be, and just working beside other people is really,
Yeah. And I think, so I was trying to think like who maybe gets, feels more benefits from volunteering. But honestly, I think about it, and I think it's something that like old and young, like all ages. Because if you think like I made like a diagram for like myself, but it was like older people, as you get older, you still want to feel useful, right? And you still want to feel needed. But then a lot of the parenting things I read and like stuff with kids, they want the same thing. They want to feel useful to you. They want to feel needed as well. Like, especially as they go older, like those, even though they don't voice those, like they are things like intrinsic to children that they want to do. Yeah. And so it's like any age, like we all want to feel that way. And so volunteering is a way that you can like, if you're not getting that from other areas of your life, then volunteering is a way you can get that.
Right. Yeah. I just, the usefulness, I think of my dad.
Yes.
And the hardest part for him when he lost his sight, really lost it at 88, 87, is when it started. But it really impacted him because he could not volunteer. Because he'd work at the museum.
Yes, and then Habitat for Humanity.
And different things like that, and Meals on Wheels at one point.
Yeah, and he did stuff at the church.
Yeah, and he answered that phone. And when he couldn't do that,
yeah,
he told me that was the hardest part. Mm-hmm. How am I needed?
Yeah.
How am I helping the community, and how am I needed by the community?
Yes.
And so when you think about that, there's everyone.
Yes.
Wants to be needed.
Yes.
I mean, I think you start out as a... not going to mention my grandchild every time. But
yes.
When you ask Charles, would you help me?
Oh my gosh.
He jumps at it.
Yeah, he wants to.
Enjoy it now.
I know, right? It won't later.
But, I mean, at an early age, it's this innate thing of let me be part.
Yeah. And being a part of something, yes.
I think that is.
Definitely.
It talks about volunteering reducing stress, as well as helps with depression. Yeah. Because you are out there and you're outside of yourself. That's one thing that I noticed for myself is get outside yourself. Mm-hmm. And that volunteering helps
easy
me do
to become, and not in like the fully negative way, but it's easy to become kind of more self-absorbed and like, okay, this is my world and it's really small.
Yeah.
But to get it expanded. And I feel like the other big thing with people not volunteering, and I say this because I use the same excuse, I do the same thing, is time, having time to do it, and then having the emotional and mental capacity left to go do it. Those are like the two, for me, the biggest barriers.
Yeah, and there are aspects and there are seasons of our lives where it's harder to. Mm-hmm. And sometimes as a parent, I found out, I could help out with my kids' stuff. Yeah. Or I could find something that was minimal, but it was still something.
Something, yeah.
And I think that's it, is what do I realistically have time to commit to?
Yeah.
And we'll get into some of that, some of the stuff that I've done, that we've done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think too, so it's like, what do you have the capacity? And we'll give examples, I think, later, but like that's a barrier. What do you have the capacity to do? What do you have the time to do? And then I think like finding the right fit
That
too is like, how is, it's like you don't want to feel like so bad because you're like, oh, I don't like being here. But I think there's a volunteer thing for everybody. You don't have to like everything you do.
Well, there is, and part of that is, figuring out what I enjoy. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm not, I think of Vacation Bible School. I was volunteered, but it was not my favorite thing, and other people would be so excited about all the creativity, and I was like, can I just throw a snack at somebody?
Yep.
But you find what you have, and there are some volunteer opportunities that I look at and think that would be so cool. Kelly, you really don't have the capacity to do that. They have a CASA program where you help a child within the court system and different things.
Oh, wow.
They're representative and different, and I think that is so cool. I know people that do that.
Yeah.
That's not mine. And sometimes it's trying and then it's not working out. I did that. I used to do Meals on Wheels when I was a youth director years and years ago. I'd do it myself, and every once in a while the youth would come along with me. But I loved it. And I loved the community I was in, all that. But I tried it here, and it just I kept trying. It wasn't clicking. And I thought, okay, well, it's okay. You don't have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You got to find something else.
Find something different. Yes.
So, am I more task oriented? Is it a small one-on-one that I want? Am I that I'm better at?
Yeah.
Is it what is something I care about?
Yeah. And finding that. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think too, when it comes to volunteering, it probably doesn't have this type for everybody, but I think because I started that type of stuff in the church, it just has such a spiritual, I feel like people think volunteering is like, well, I'm not part of a church, so I don't know. But businesses, I feel like, I know like businesses will do it too. They'll have volunteering days and stuff, but I feel like you can separate volunteering from necessarily like religion or that sort.
Definitely. There are so many different organizations out there that they may have affiliation with churches, they may not, but a lot of them don't, and so you just find that. So it doesn't have to be. And even if it ends up being a spiritual experience for you in some form or fashion, that doesn't have to be connected with the church. I think it's sometimes can be easy because there's built-in opportunities at the church, and maybe you might know some people, but there are websites. Most cities that I've looked around at have websites that have listed their opportunities for different organizations within their cities.
That's good.
And that you can kind of find a match. If you love pets, I always see opportunities.
Always,
for that. They're always needing help.
Yes. For sure.
There's a lot of the homeless populations, that type. Food scarcity is so huge right now, and that's a major. I always see things for that as well. Habitat building. I mean, they're stuff that you don't even think of.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I know. It's like I think there's more unique opportunities out there than you think if you were to really look, because there's the usual go and help sort clothes or go and help stack a food bank, there's that stuff, but I think there's more out there. I know there's a lot of programs where you can go and just read to children. There are programs where you can just go and I know you can help immigrants with their language skills.
I was going to say English second language. There's a lot of refugee programs where they're helping set up their apartments and doing different things like that. Holding babies in the NICU. Right?
Oh,
and
yes.
There's all that I just don't think of because I don't encounter them. Those situations. And all of a sudden when you do, then there's so many lists.
Yes.
And you can just look at nonprofits in your area and look at what they need.
Yeah, because they'll always have a volunteer page.
And some people, they're great with office skills and they need those type of things.
Yes. Definitely.
It's endless.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. So what I'm going to say, first my volunteer experience, because it's much less extensive than yours. Pretty much. And this is the thing, most of my volunteering has always been connected with the church. We went out as, youth group and did stuff, went on mission trips, and then went to college in the Wesley. We do a few like volunteering activities a couple times a semester. And then, I mean, honestly, since I left college, I don't really, I mean, other than maybe I've like played a piano thing because somebody asked me, or I've like I did the community orchestra. I started not getting paid for that. So there's that.
There you go.
So it's kind of a volunteer kind of for myself, but you know, for others. And so, but honestly, other than after college and maybe a thing here or there, like I've not volunteered. Yeah. And I think, I mean, hopefully that's not everybody that's my age, but I think it's a lot of people my age because it's just finding that capacity to do it. You know?
I do. I think part of it is the stage of life. You're trying to get career. You're trying to do this other established things. And unless you're already plugged into something, it's hard to.
It's hard. Yeah.
Because I think of my work at your age was in the church, and we did service projects a lot.
Right, yeah.
But that was
part of your job,
with my work, but it was tied with part of my job, right?
Yeah.
So when I really started was when we left and Arlington, and I wasn't working full time, and I was needing, and that's when one of the besides Meals on Wheels, when I was in San Angelo, I did that, and I really enjoyed that. The adult literacy program in Collierville.
That's cool.
I did that, and that was fascinating. I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah.
So what did you help
I helped.
people?
There was the student that I had at that time. She was a cosmetology student.
Yes, and you were like helping her read through.
Yes, because it was very difficult. Her reading was very difficult, and doing so, trying to study exams and work on that.
She was sweet.
She was, So I did that. It was my first time to ever do that.
Wow, that's
I
cool.
had read to kids before.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a mentorship program at a school.
You did,
I did that. I tell you one thing that, as a parent, band stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of a job. It's parent oriented. But one of the things that I Haven for Hope, which is a homeless shelter. I did a lot with that, with their spiritual wellness, with their addiction recovery, and some transitional homes, doing small groups around spirituality as well. And then the Interfaith Welcome Coalition here in San Antonio, they have a bus station ministry.
Yeah.
And what happens is, and I did this prior to COVID.
Yeah.
Immigrants were
being bussed
to San Antonio's hub, and then they would be bused to different places. They'd have their papers of who they were going to and who their sponsor would be, and so you'd help them
find their bus,
for their bus, find their bus, get their food, that we'd send off with, and their kids were there, and that was something I never saw myself doing, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you liked it.
And I didn't speak Spanish, but I picked up enough to get by. That was neat.
That's cool.
And they have a couple things like that I've done. So it.
Yeah.
And again, that I like the small group type of stuff.
Yes.
That's what I've.
Yeah, that's what you did. Yeah.
Lean toward.
Get to. Yeah.
But there's just a variety, and one of the things that I think of what my dad did. If you like nature, there's places to volunteer for that. There's a Master Naturalists program.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's others. But he would go, and he would, during certain seasons, he would count the nests and how many, if you could find how many eggs, and they would just...
And then he would, sometimes school programs would come by, and he'd walk them around.
And he would walk the kids around, and they'd talk, and he'd show them the different things that they were pointing out in the nature in that area and whatnot. And so if you're a nature person, there's things for you too.
Yes.
I mean, every kind of opportunity, because I was looking, political organizations, senior centers need people, family shelters need people.
Yes.
And we talked about the animal.
I'm sure there are even like garden
organizations, museums.
Yes.
You can volunteer at museums. I mean, so you don't have to sweat. You can be inside. And but when you think about that, it's like, what is your interest?
Yeah.
And being it's kind of getting outside your. It may be getting outside your comfort zone, because you're trying something out.
Yes.
Is this really
And you may have to
me?
talk to new people and, be a little more on the outgoing side.
Right. And learn something that you may not know how to do yet. And so
yes. I think, too, when you volunteer, you don't have to, it's not a commitment where you go 3 times, something crazy 3 times a week. Maybe it's even something that you start out going just once a month and see if you like it. And if you do, then you can increase it. But it's like, I think I'm sure there are some volunteering that have time requirements, but most, I think you can kind of just do as you want and kind of make your own schedule for it.
Yeah. I think that's true, and don't look at it as a lifetime commitment.
No.
Maybe say, I'm going to try this for
6
how many
months
or something like that. And some of them do have, like with the Welcome Coalition, I had to go down for some training.
Yeah,
sometimes there's more training required than others.
Yeah.
But basically, and I think with the literacy program too.
Yeah.
But there are so many out there, various things that just need help, especially now with, just people can't give as much finances, so you give your time.
Yes. Yeah.
And it matters.
And that matters. And I think that too, it's like, it's hard. I mean, you can give financially, but I feel like even then, you still need to sometimes supplement that with being in person, because it's
here's my money. I don't want to hear about it anymore. And I'm glad people can give money. And giving money is something, but there's something extra to that, I think.
To being in person and doing that. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, now you have me thinking, mate, what am I going to do?
What are you going to do? Yeah.
And this does, I think, this kind of, we had that episode on social butterfly or not or whatever. Yes. Yeah. And I think too, at least for me, that too can be a barrier to me going and volunteering is it's like, am I going with anybody I know? No. Then how do now I have to mingle and do this. I hate that part.
Yeah. Yeah. That can be intimidating. You're right.
And so it's intimidating. So you just have to prepare for it. And I think
maybe
I feel like
find a friend to go with you.
Yes, that's true. And I feel like a good theme is volunteer, but then volunteer for something that you do have a little bit of a passion for or something that you think you'll connect with, because that will definitely make you want to keep going.
Yes. And I saw it, and I'll put it on the website. Because I saw it. There's a website that kind of helps you match you.
Oh, that's
some
cool.
cities have it. But then I think there's another one that I saw that just is random.
General,
to kind of give you some leads and
some ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That would be good.
Yeah, because I may like kids, but I may not like a ton of them at once, right?
Yes.
Or I don't know. Some people do. I don't know. So there's just a wide variety. And
yes.
Libraries.
I volunteered there in high school.
That's right. You
did it because it was just putting stuff in order.
That is so funny.
It's great.
Well, there you go. There's something for you.
There you go. That's right.
It's find out what you like to do. You like to organize the library, the music library. I mean, it's like this is a thing.
It is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So I hope that got you thinking a little bit about maybe some volunteering, some opportunities to connect to the community. We'll put up some resources for sure in the show notes. Let us know on Instagram what you think, or you can always email us a question.
Or if you volunteer somewhere, let us know what that is. I'd love
we can share it, definitely. And just a reminder, we do have our Patreon, and we're still putting up meditations. We've put a few publicly to kind of let you know what it's like, but we put out at least 2 a month. So definitely check out that too. And then next week's episode, we are doing another experience. We are going to be going to a sound bath. Mom has been a few times before, and really, I've never been.
That's right.
And so we'll be talking about our sound bath experience. Yeah,
that's right. Mm-hmm. Great. So we look forward to next week when we take a breath and take a listen.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of An Incomplete Guide to Personal Growth. There are many ways you can stay connected. Follow us on Instagram at An Incomplete Guide Podcast, where you can sign up for our email list and get posts that delve deeper into our weekly topics. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast page wherever you listen to your podcasts. We would really appreciate a rating and sharing us with your family and friends.
We're so glad you chose to spend your time with us, and hope there was a thought, a resource, or a laugh that you can take on your journey We'll be here every Tuesday for you to take a breath and take a listen.